Hello YouTube. If you're watching this video, you likely have an IS200 and you built yourself an aftermarket stereo and a wee amp bypass lead, and you plugged it all in and the radio works. However, when you turn the key out of the ignition, the light's still on and the radio still getting power, even after connecting everything right. So the actual problem is a constant loop of electricity. Essentially, you have your plug here. That's the amp bypass, and you actually, if I can hold this here, you actually have two yellows, one in here, one at the top on the right hand side or left hand side, depending on how you look at the plug. But if you look at the actual loom of the car and you use a voltmeter, the top one here on the far right, the top one is the constant 12 volt, and the bottom one is the ignition. So it's only on when the ignition's on, whereas the top one, it's on constantly. Now that's the one you want to use for your memory, so that your clock and your radio station and everything like that stays saved. And then the other one you want to use for your power. So if you look at the other end of the plug, the two yellows are fucking plugged in together. So when you get your constant 12 volt from there running into here as your memory, it touches the ignition wire, which should be off, and it basically runs the entire circuit in the car and puts power to the entire car, which means that your battery probably dies in a day or two, like mine. I couldn't figure out the problem. I couldn't find anything about it online, but eventually I figured it out myself last night. So what you need to do is cut one of them wires off and splice it. Now plug this into your loom. I'll do that now. Right, once that's plugged in, you're up here now. Use a voltmeter, or else if you don't have a voltmeter, just plug it in and try and test it, and essentially just figure out which one of those two, unless you want to trace the wire from there to there, but you figure out which one of those two is constant and which one of those two is ignition. So I'm going to do that now, just to make sure. Right, so the way I have that plugged in right now is perfect, because that there is the constant, which is your memory, and that there is the ignition. So what you're going to do to that, you'll see on that loom there's a red wire coming out, and it's well, it's not connected to anything. You're supposed to connect it to your cigarette lighter, or, well, anything, any source of 12 volt ignition. So I'm just going to connect that to that and see if that works. So just a quick test run here. I'll put the ignition's off at the moment, and that's the ignition on now. And I set the clock before and it remembers it. It's not the right time, but it's just to see if it remembers the time or not. And then that's it turned off. Keys out, radio's off. Stick the key back in, turn it, and the radio comes on. And the time should be saved. Yep. So memory works, ignition works like it should. So that's everything put together now. And if I get the keys, everything lights up like it should. Radio works, memories works, and when you take the key out, everything turns off and doesn't drain your bloody battery. So there you go. It's not a problem that everyone will have. I know a lot of Lexuses, well, they all, there's like 3 different versions of radios you get for them, and you have to get 3 different sort of looms, so that was a pain in the hole anyway. But if you are running into this particular problem on a sport model with the amplifier, the problem is the 2 yellow wires touching and essentially creating a closed circuit. So thanks very much for watching. Hope that could help anyone, and yeah, thank you.